Welcome, everybody, once again to another edition of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I am Josh. Dude, you gonna introduce yourself?
No, because I know that as soon as I introduce myself, you're just gonna tell me I'm not who I say I am.
Dude, if you just do it the way we rehearsed, everything will be fine.
The way we rehearsed it.
Yes, just like we rehearsed it.
Okay. I'm Johnny Knoxville! Welcome to Jackass!
Dude, you are not Johnny Knoxville!
Why am I not Johnny Knoxville?
I told you to do it the way we rehearsed. That is not what we rehearsed. You are John May.
I'm John Made. Welcome to Off the Ropes.
You know what? You have like the shortest attention span ever. I am really getting tired of this.
You know, it's really funny that you bring up short, because at least my attention span isn't as short as Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle?
Yeah, you know, that former Cruiserweight champion leprechaun thing that lives under the...
Wait. He was a Cruiserweight champion?
Yeah, why?
Well, that brings us into our next topic.
That brings us into today's topic?
Yes, it does. Cruiserweight divisions.
Oh, snap! We did it again!
Now, for those of you who don't know, a cruiserweight is considered any wrestler with a weight of 220 pounds or less.
So wait,
in most cases.
You're telling me that about 4 years ago when we were doing what we were doing, you were a technical cruiserweight?
Technically.
That's awesome! I body slammed a cruiserweight!
This guy. That's right. Now, these types of individuals are known for showcasing their high-flying, high-risk talents.
Very true.
Yeah. Some other names used to identify cruiserweights are a light heavyweight,
The midweight,
a middleweight,
the flyweight,
a welterweight,
and the featherweight.
and currently the X Division, which is being used by TNA and was made famous by TNA, but is also used in many various NWA promotions.
Which is very true. A lot of NWA affiliates have actually started taking out cruiserweight titles and instating X Division titles.
Now this is due to the fact that TNA used to be partnered with NWA when they first started.
Well, here's a question. What is the X Division? How did they come up with the name X Division?
Well, funny thing. Because the X Division, they wanted something that was, like I said, known for their high-flying stunts. So they came up with the name X Division based off of the X Games.
That's awesome.
Which is also known for their high-flying
Well,
stunts.
think about it. When you think of the X Division, there's a lot of crashing and burning. Just like in the X Games. I mean,
Absolutely,
it really makes a lot of sense.
Now, TNA's X Division is a little bit different than a normal Cruiserweight division.
That's very true.
Because TNA's X Division has no weight limit. The original tagline was, "It's not about weight limits, it's about no limits."
You know what I just realized? You're
What?
always wearing this freaking hoodie. You know what? You should balls up and actually wear a wrestling shirt, because this is a wrestling talk show.
Are you happy now?
About time.
God, you know what this makes me? The Tag Team Champions!
I'm the tag team champions.
I am the Tag Team Champions.
Well, if you don't like the fact that these guys were tag team champions, then I've got 2 words for you. Get it.
God.
Dick.
Now, although the X Division was known for not having a weight limit, by having people like Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and even Abyss in their division, this didn't stop them from eventually putting a weight limit on their division.
Of course, you have a good thing, you've got to ruin it sooner or later.
In August of 2011, a 225-pound weight limit was instated on the X Division. However, this did not last very long, because in March of 2012, Hulk Hogan silently repealed that weight limit, putting it back to a no weight limit division.
Which would explain our current and reigning X Division champion, the whole fucking show, Rob Van Dam.
Absolutely. Now, the X Division title was established on June 19th of 2002.
Awesome.
10
so
years
it's
ago.
10 years.
It was established 1 month after TNA was founded.
Okay.
You know? Its first winner was AJ Styles. who anybody who watches TNA or knows anything about TNA, that should be one of the first people that you think of, is AJ Styles, in my opinion.
I agree. He is Mr. TNA.
Absolutely. Now, he won this in a fatal four-way double elimination match versus Low-Key, Jerry Lynn, and Psychosis.
Wait, Jerry Lynn?
Jerry Lynn.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually held the TNA X Division title quite a few times.
Interesting.
Now, due to the X Division and its high-flying nature, the TNA came up with a few signature matches for them. The first and most famous is the Ultimate X.
Gotta love it. 4 strings running across the top of or 2 strings, hair right in the middle, titles hanging from it, and the only way to get to it is by jumping onto the cables and scurrying across. That match is phenomenal.
Absolutely. Another signature match for the X Division is the Steel Asylum match, formerly known as the Terror Dome. Would you like to talk about this one? Since I know one of your favorite wrestlers had a little something to do with this match.
That's the one Jeff was in, right? Okay, so the Terror Dome is pretty much Hell in a Cell, but it comes up and it has a small hole right in the top of the cage. And if I'm not mistaken, not to be confused with this one, the Steel Asylum, usually people just fight within it, okay?
They have to climb out the hole.
About a couple years ago, when Jeff Hardy re-returned to TNA, he made his appearance in front of thousands of people, hitting the Twist of Fate on Homicide, and then scaling to the top and just sitting there saying, "Screw you, WWE, I'm home."
That is right. Now, the third signature match for the X Division is the Escape match. Now, this match typically involves 4 to 6 participants. And the way to win is to eliminate all the opponents down to 2 by either pinfall or submission.
Okay.
And then the final 2 participants must race to see who can get out of the cage first.
Which is really funny, because going back to the night that Jeff Hardy returned to TNA, somebody actually tried to get up out of the hole and fell.
Yes.
That's almost a 20-foot fall. That's scary.
And this escape match is held annually at the Lockdown pay-per-view.
Interesting.
Now, some notable X Division champs have been AJ Styles and Jay Lethal. These 2 men have done a lot in their X Division career, including becoming the 2 men with the most X Division title reigns.
Well,
each having 6.
6?
Each having 6. Wow. Now, some other notable champs have been Chris Sabin, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels. Also, I mean, when you think TNA's X Division, at least for me, these are the guys that just come right to my mind. And these 3 guys, they each held this title 4 different times. You know, I mean that's a lot. I mean, it hasn't been around that long. This title, you know,
very
so that's some good runs there. Now, there's one person that I'd like to briefly talk about. That's Sean Waltman. For those of you who aren't familiar with the name, known as X-Pac in WWE, 6 in WCW, and 6-Pac in TNA. This man accomplished something that no one else has been able to do. And that was he held the Cruiserweight division title for all 3 of those companies. He held the WCW Cruiserweight title, the WWF Cruiserweight title, and the TNA X Division title.
That's pretty impressive.
Isn't it?
And it's really funny that you would actually mention WCW, because, well, you're going to talk about your side of things today, well, as of course, I'm going to go home to where my heart is, and I'm going to talk about WCW. And the fact that, did you know that WCW had the first, before they had their Cruiserweight title, they had a title called the Light Heavyweight Championship?
Interesting.
It was a short-lived title from 1991 until 1992. And it was used for the Cruiserweights that preceded the actual Cruiserweight division. The Cruiserweight Championship replaced the Light Heavyweight title in 1996, and it later became the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. But WWE does recognize all former WCW, former heavyweight, light heavyweight, and cruiserweight champions. Awesome side note, the last ever light heavyweight champion was none other than Brad Armstrong, who sadly passed away yesterday, November 1st. So we'd like to just give a quick shout out to Brad Armstrong. Our thoughts are with his family in this time of grief.
Rest in peace, and we hope you find something better wherever you are now.
Some awesome other WCW talent that I just didn't feel like really talking about today. I was a little lazy on my homework this week. Yushin Thunder Ligear. Did you know he's credited for inventing the shooting star press?
Yes. An amazing move used by several different cruiserweights.
Including Kidman, who's next on my list.
Excellent, excellent.
Six, X-Pac. Great talent. He's an awesome man to watch in the ring. I just didn't really feel like trying to get into too much detail on him because he has spanned a few different places. And I didn't feel like talking about him for 10 minutes because who really cares about X-Pac? No. Prince Iakea. He was the Hawaiian dude in WWE.
Who?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Next on my list that I didn't really feel like talking about, Das Wunderkid, Alex Wright, who later become Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin. I remember that guy.
Do you?
No, not really.
Do you remember Alex Wright?
I do. He was a weird little dude.
He was cool. He wasn't really talented too much in my opinion. He had a really heavy German accent, so you could never really understand what he was saying when he was talking to you. But you knew he was trying to say
Like
something.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Did you know that the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Yes, I did. So, quick person to really just give a quick brush over to, who came into this company via ECW, Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds. The man has no personality, no mic skills, but still one of the greatest technical wrestlers ever. He fell into the cruiserweight category only because he is a 4-time cruiserweight champion, and he had a notable feud with Chris Jericho in 1998, which was legend. Wait for it. Dairy. It was legendary, people.
True story.
Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho went back and forth, which led to Jericho getting like the highlight of his WCW career. Talk about that in a little bit. Dean Malenko.
You must be talking about his feud with Punk, right? That was totally his highlight.
No. Oh, hell no. No. Just no. Dean Malenko is now a trainer for WWE, but since I don't like to talk about the corporation, I guess it's not worth mentioning. Would you like to talk now, or would you like me to keep going for another minute?
God.
No, I'll keep going. I mean, I'll do another one.
Just do your job.
Ultimo Dragon, who originally was billed as the Ultimate Dragon, was later on changed by WCW to Ultimo Dragon, which translated into The Last Dragon, which is originally kind of funny to me, because he claims to be the last trainee of none other than legendary Bruce Lee. Now, he has a very great match with Rey Mysterio at WCW Hog Wild of 1996. A lot of high flying, a lot of quick pace. Well, until you get to your WrestleMania moment with Ultimo Dragon, who was completely drunk off his ass. Only really good thing, Ultimo Dragon. Well, he has 2 good things to his career, and I will give him this. He's credited for creating the Ayase moonsault, and the man once walked out on the WCW television having Sonny Ono carry like 8 titles. Hey Kobe, where's your ring, buddy? Because Ultimo had 8 titles. But since I don't talk about basketball on this show, Kobe Bryant's just a rapist.
Oh, that was a little harsh.
I don't care.
You want to know something? You guys have been fired for comments like that. Don't you remember AEW?
Who?
Exactly.
Okay, would you like to take a second to mention some people's?
Now,
Do your thing?
I'd like to talk about the WWE Cruiserweight division.
Why do you gotta bring up CM Punk? You know that's gonna do to me, right? You're just trying to set me up. You know what? I'm gonna just meditate for a second.
The WWE Cruiserweight division. Now, as my colleague here said earlier, the WWE Cruiserweight division, or title I should say, is recognized as being formerly the WCW Light Heavyweight from 1991 to 1992, the WCW Cruiserweight title from 1996 to 2001, and the WWF/WWE Cruiserweight Championship from 2001 until it was disbanded in 2008. Now, its first formally recognized champion is Brian Pillman.
Flying Brian?
Yes. He won this, it was still the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship. It was the very first champion for that title. And he is, like I said, recognized by WWE as the first champion. The most reigns for anybody between the WWE and the WCW is Rey Mysterio. He had 5 WCW reigns and 3 WWE reigns.
You gotta love Ray Ray.
Absolutely. And the longest reign was Gregory Helms in WWE. He had 385 days. Yeah.
I remember that.
20 days over a full year as the Cruiserweight champion.
Hey Shane, just on the outside chance that you might actually tune into the show, you're awesome, dude.
Yeah, you are awesome. Just saying. Now, Shane Helms, like I said, Gregory Helms, Shane Helms, same guy for those of you who don't know,
Sugar Shane!
was also the last WCW Cruiserweight champion
Did you
in
ever notice that if you
2001.
say Sugar Shane, kind of sounds like the hurricane? Sorry.
Sugar Shane Hurricane, yes, it sounds the same. I get it. So does Punkin' Drunk. I mean, we get it.
Why? Why? No. You are not going to get me this week.
I mean,
no.
that was all Chris Jericho.
No, no. I'm not going to have this problem this week.
On July 30th of 2001, X-Pac won the title in a unification match.
Now, that was around the Invasion storyline, correct?
Yes, which went all the way out until October, this Invasion storyline, where the WWF Cruiserweight Championship was created. It then became the WWE Cruiserweight Championship in May of 2002. May 5th, specifically. This man's birthday. That's right.
Screw you, World Wildlife Foundation. Take a steel chair to your pen to see how you feel about it.
Yeah, we're totally going to get sued. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the end of an era.
Why are you going to bring up the death of The Undertaker? It's not cool, man. I watched that Hell in a Cell match. Him and Triple H did a great job. I don't care what anybody said.
Not that era.
Oh.
The end of WWE's Cruiserweight division.
You mean when Rey Mysterio won the World Heavyweight Championship?
Ouch. That's a little harsh. That's harsh, man. That's harsh.
I'm going to address that in a little bit as well.
No. What I'm speaking of is July 22nd, 2007, when a 6-man Cruiserweight Open was held.
Okay.
The 6 people being Jimmy Wang Yang, Shannon Moore, Chavo Guerrero, Funaki, Jamie Noble, and Hornswoggle. That's right. As you said earlier, Hornswoggle. During this Open, Hornswoggle managed to stay in the longest and win, eliminating Jamie Noble at the end. And he kept that title until it was disbanded in March of 2008.
That's crazy. I do believe that Hornswoggle is single-handedly the thing that ruined the Cruiserweight division.
I mean, you had an illustrious career for a division. You know, you had these amazing, high-flying, you know, talents like Juventud Guerrero, you know, just going around doing these things. And then you have somebody like Hornswoggle.
Well,
To end the reign, to end this championship's run with somebody like that, I feel like it's a slap to the face of all those other cruiserweights.
it's great that you mentioned Juvi, because he's actually next on my list. Juventud Guerrera, also known to some people as Juvi Juice.
I wonder why that was.
Well, it's weird. He has a great career, feuded with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho takes his mask. He takes his mask off. He looks like a 15-year-old girl.
It's true.
I mean, it's kind of sucky because he couldn't speak very good English. He was pelted on Monday Night Raw one time for not being able to speak English. He's a 3-time WCW Cruiserweight Champion. Used the 450 splash as a finish. I say a lot.
You do.
He was good. Voted in 1998 and 1999 by the Wrestling Observer newsletter. He was voted as the best flying wrestler of the time, which actually is kind of a really cool compliment because Juventud Guerrera is, in my eyes, one of the best cruiserweights that WCW had. Misused a couple times, especially during the LWO storyline. For those of you who don't know who the LWO was, it was the Latino World Order. It was one of the 100 NWO branch-offs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Another person who follows along the same steps as Juventud Guerrera was Psychosis. He had a very big mask for quite some time before he ended up losing that. He gained recognition in the United States by being in ECW and having a few death matches with Rey Mysterio Jr. That feud was reignited in WCW at Bash of the Beach 1996.
Bash of the Beach, 1996.
Yeah.
Didn't something important happen at that? Like, I feel like something groundbreaking happened at that match, or at that pay-per-view.
Bash of the Beach 1996.
I feel like something that would have changed wrestling's history.
I get what you're saying. Like some kind of like order was taken. Like some kind of new world order happened, but
I don't know. It must not be important.
It could, I mean, it's not like it's stuck around forever.
It must not be important. I'm sure whatever it was, nobody remembers it anyways.
Well, that's true. I mean, who would remember something like the NWO?
Exactly.
Psychosis, also a two-time WCW Cruiserweight champion, really ended up not having much of a WCW career once the mask came off, came to WWE, tag teamed with Juventud, and
oh, Super Crazy?
Thank you.
Super Crazy, yes.
Super Crazy!
The Mexicals!
The Mexicals!
Now, I've noticed that you've been talking a lot about, ECW guys who went into WCW, became Cruiserweights.
It happens.
I think that's a very interesting thing to talk about, how all these luchadors really gained a footing in WCW.
Well, it's actually an interesting story. A lot of people don't know it, but for those of you who do, I'm sorry that I'm going to bore you with this detail for a second. That a lot of WCW's Cruiserweights came from ECW. ECW brought them in to really take some of the hardcore edge off of what they were doing and wanted to give a show to people. Something that was going to take the show and you'd be like, oh my God, did you see what those people are doing? And then WCW was like, let's get them some TV time. Let us help you, Paul. You help us, we'll help you.
Let us help you. Help us to help you. Help me help you. Help me help you.
You had me at hello. It's here. However, it wasn't until a lot of these guys went to WCW that they actually started getting the recognition and the TV time they deserved. A couple of them ended up actually getting very far in their careers that a couple of them didn't expect.
Like who?
Chris Jericho actually got a decent push. Eddie Guerrero got a great push. Rey Mysterio got a decent push. Malenko, he's a name. He got his push. Probably the highlight of his career was when he came to WWE and did the Radicals. One man who didn't get a push out of all of it? Go ahead, you can bring it up.
Well, what he forgets to mention, though, about Dean Malenko
is this
the Four Horsemen.
Oh, yes. He got a push in WCW as part of the Four Horsemen. Him, Steve Mongo McMichael, Chris Benoit.
I just know.
And I'm pretty sure it was Ric Flair.
Four Horsemen.
Four.
We'll cover that in another.
That's very true. We're thinking about doing an entire section on stables and factions. Tell us what you think. One man, though, who did not get a push in WCW, being part of the Cruiserweight division that I feel should have, La Parka. The chairman of WCW. He's not known for winning many matches. He's not known for having a Cruiserweight title reign. What he might be well known for, though, possibly having the shortest match with Goldberg ever.
Goldberg? It's nice that you mentioned him.
I mean, does anybody really remember La Parka? Did you know there was a match he had with Macho Man Randy Savage on Nitro? Middle of the match, no lie, hits the diamond cutter, stands up, grabs his mask, pulls his mask off. It's DDP.
Very nice.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Oh.
So who you got next?
Eddie Guerrero.
Ooh.
Loved by millions.
Eddie Guerrero.
And he was the leader of the Latino World Order. Okay? Now, what a lot of people don't know is that when Eddie Guerrero first came to WCW, he was still supporting the gear he wore in ECW, which was part of his tag team gear from when he was with Art Barr, who passed away, and that is why Eddie Guerrero used the Frog Splash. A lot of people did not know this. Eddie Guerrero ran in WCW and was pretty much used only as a cruiserweight mid-carder. in 1999, on New Year's Day, Eddie Guerrero was in a car accident that changed his life forever. He cleaned himself up the best he could at the time. He lost a lot of weight. He came back bulked up, haircut, and a new attitude and a new persona that allowed him to ascend anything he had laid before himself at that time. Before he departed for WWE in 2000, he came back, and his first real feud was with Juventud Guerrera. And at this point, Juvi had been demasked already. And I can remember Eddie standing there face to face with Juventud Guerrera, and he's like, "You took the shirt off. You threw the shirt down, SA. You threw it down," and proceeded to just light up Juventud Guerrera like it was the 4th of July. Sadly, Eddie battled his life of demons, but I try to remember Eddie Guerrero for being who he was, not what he did. Being a former 2-time WCW Cruiserweight champion, Eddie Guerrero will forever be one of my favorite entertainers ever. You can't get past the lying, the cheating, the stealing. I mean, how many times have you seen Eddie pick up a steel chair, smack it off the canvas, toss it off onto somebody, hit the mat, and the ref still goes, "What happened?"
I mean, Eddie Guerrero is one of those guys that really broke the mold for cruiserweights, you know? You know, he goes from being a cruiserweight champ and this high-flying luchador to becoming a heavyweight champion.
He's one of the few. Chris Benoit also. Mm-hmm. You know what? I think this is a good time. I was going to mention it a little later. I think this is a good time. I would like to think that people like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, even though I feel Rey Mysterio wasn't deserving of the title at the time, they didn't ruin the heavyweight championship picture like a lot of guys say they did. They altered the heavyweight title picture. Not saying that it's not needed to have their own division title, but the guys like them are the future of this business. Not every guy is going to be 6'6" and jacked anymore. Your average height man is only like 5'7", 5'8". So for people like Daniel Bryan and that other guy to have the heavyweight championship, it's okay for smaller guys to hold the title. Don't say it!
But, I mean, his name is...
I'm going to need a Prozac over here! This guy's trying to give me a freaking heart attack!
You know what?
My heart's racing.
How about I write it for you guys?
My heart's racing.
That's right.
I want to see it. Yeah. I'm going to have a heart attack.
Are you
going to be happy?
If you want to...
Oh my! No! 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 Oh, hell no! 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 No!
That was my card.
Well, at least you talked about that one already, right?
I hope so.
If not, oh well, we just missed the topic in our conversation. I feel better, though.
Continue.
Okay. Now that we've talked about Eddie, I think it's only time, a good time, to talk about Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Ooh, Chavo!
2-time Cruiserweight champion in his own right. Chavo entered WCW in mid-1996. I didn't know much about him at the time, except for the fact that he was Eddie Guerrero's nephew. I had a lot of high expectations for him. He was pretty impressive, and he was pretty much used as a mid-card talent. Until about 1998, when he started a feud with Uncle Eddie. Really funny thing, Eddie made Chavo wear a t-shirt that said, "Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler."
That was funny.
Chavo ended the feud with Eddie. I can't actually remember who went over. I'm pretty sure it was Eddie. Chavo then went on to start carrying around a hobby horse named Pepe that ended up meeting its demise in a wood chipper.
What? Why does that sound like a bad WWE angle? Something
It's actually funny that you mentioned. Yeah. It's funny that you'd say that because WWE had an angle with Raven and Perry Saturn and Terry, where Perry Saturn ended up falling in love with this mop over the hot Terry Runnels.
A mop?
A mop. Raven ended up putting the mop through a wood chipper as well. So,
you know, you were talking about Chavo Guerrero, and it got me thinking. I seem to remember you telling me a really funny joke about him. I'd like for you to tell our audience this joke. This is great.
There's 3 midgets walking down the street. As the 3 midgets are walking down the street, they stumble across the Guinness Book of World Records. The first midget goes, "I have the smallest hands in the history of the world. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to see if I can get in the book." So he's in there for about 5 minutes, comes out, and he goes, smallest hands in the world. Midget 2 goes, well, that's nothing. I have the smallest feet in the world. I'll be back. Goes in the building. He's in there for about 10 minutes. He comes out, he goes, smallest feet in the world. Third midget goes, that's nothing. I've got the smallest penis in the world. So he walks in the building. He's in there for a couple of hours. He comes out with this really pissed off look on his face. And the other two midgets are like, what's wrong? He goes, who the hell's Chavo Guerrero?
Gets me every time. Ah, Chavo.
Ooh, Chavo!
Kerwin White.
Wow. I remember that. So, one other person on my list, or would you like to take a step for a second?
Go for it.
Okay. Next person on my list, Chris Jericho. I mean, honestly, I can't say nothing about this man that hasn't already been said. He is the best in the world.
Wait, isn't that other guy?
Not Punk! CM Punk is not the best in the world!
But,
Okay?
But he claims to be. I mean, isn't perception
Okay,
reality?
I can proclaim to be your wife's husband. Does that make it true?
You can also proclaim to have a large penis, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Ask your mother.
Chris Jericho, huh?
His feud with Dean Malenko in 1998 was one of my favorites of all times. Dean Malenko, well known as the Man of 1,000 Holds, had a whole new side to Chris Jericho that he could allow out. This was Jericho's first heel run in WCW, and probably allowed Jericho to be one of the most creative sides and most fun sides that I have ever seen of him, allowing him to have the promo, the 1004 Hold. After the feud of 1998 with Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho went on to start a feud with Juventud Guerrera, which led to a match at Super Brawl 8, where Chris Jericho would put his Cruiserweight title on the line against Juventud Guerrera for his mask.
Very nice, very nice.
Oh, it was a great match. The match ended up with Chris Jericho winning, and he would take Juventud Guerrera's mask. Which is really funny because then Chris Jericho started this whole angle where he would beat people and then take something of theirs and start wearing them as trophies to the ring, which included, but not limited to, Juventud's mask, Prince Iaukea Hawaiian dress, and Disco Inferno's headband. Now, did you know Chris Jericho is a 4-time Cruiserweight champion?
Yes, I did.
Which I thought that this was worth mentioning due to the fact that, like he had mentioned, so many great guys breaking out of that mold. Chris Jericho not only was a Cruiserweight champion in WWE, or WCW, but he would then later on go to WWE and never look back at the Cruiserweight title picture, as he would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship. He would go on to win the WWF Heavyweight Championship and the WCW Championship all in one night, beating Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock in both separate matches to make him the first ever undisputed champion of the world. Take that, CM Punk.
I agree. I concur.
Good. Good.
I'd like to talk about some notable Cruiserweight championships who span both WCW and WWE.
Okay.
Okay. The first one you had talked about before, Billy Kidman. You
Gotta
brushed on
respect-
him a little bit, so
You gotta respect Kidman. He's one of the first white people to use the shooting star press.
that's true.
He got a good dose of television time using the Flock as a pedestal until he helped Perry Saturn defeat Raven in a match, and then he was set free and wasn't as skanky looking.
That's true. No skanks. He was a 3-time WCW Cruiserweight champion and a 4-time WWE Cruiserweight champion.
He also had a great tag team partner who was a Cruiserweight champion for a while, and that was Paul London.
Another person that you also spoke of, Chavo Guerrero,
Dirty Dick!
who was a 2-time WCW champion, but went on to WWE to win it 4 separate times.
Wasn't he also an ECW champion?
ECW? Nah, couldn't be.
Hoovy!
Yes, Juventud Guerrero. He was a 3-time WCW champion and a 2-time WWE champion.
Sadly, his
Well,
run with the
Cruiserweight champion. I'm sorry for those who are getting confused by me.
Sadly, Juventud's WWE run lasted 7 months.
Yeah.
Count that. 7 months, and he still racked up two
Two.
title reigns in 7 months.
Dos for In case Hoopy's watching, dos.
Wow, man. Racist again this week, huh?
You said Billy Kidman was the only white person.
I didn't
That's
say the
not
only,
racist.
I said one of the
Okay,
first. I saw
white
Brock
person.
Lesnar break his neck using the cheese.
You said white person, and that's not racist. Why? Because we have a black president?
Back to the topic.
Anyways, my next person, which I spoke a little bit about before, was the longest reigning Cruiserweight champion, Gregory Helms. Now, even though he only held it once in WCW, he went on to hold it 2 more times in WWE, giving him a total of 3 Cruiserweight title reigns. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. And my final person has the most Cruiserweight title reigns between the two, with 5 WCW and 3 WWE. That would be Rey Mysterio.
Awesome. I love Rey Mysterio Jr. You know, he debuted in WCW in 1996, and I first saw him wrestle Dean Malenko at the Great American Bash, 1996. I'm telling you, that date is just ringing
Really
in my
does.
mind.
I mean, there's got to be...
Great American Bash.
No.
Well, I remember Sting, and I remember Macho Man and Lex Luger wearing the war paint, but the other 2 guys are just, they're outsiders in my mind right now.
They really are.
I don't know, but I was blown away by the match that Rey Mysterio and Dean Malenko had at Great American Bash. Phenomenal. High spots, they came out, there was respect. I instantly became a fan of both men and was just blown away. At Halloween Havoc 1997, you got to see Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Great match. History was made. That really put the stamp that Cruiserweights had entered WCW and that they were staying and not going anywhere. He was unmasked at Super Brawl 9 after losing a hair versus mask match versus Hall and Nash.
Hall and Nash. I don't know.
Rey Mysterio is a 5-time Cruiserweight champion, as you had mentioned.
A 5-time.
5-time.
5-time. 5-time.
5-time.
WCW Cruiserweight
You know,
champion.
why do I remember there being another 5-time champion? Just 5-time. No, not really at all.
Now, we talked about TNA, WCW, and WWE and their Cruiserweight style divisions.
Or X Division.
That's why I said style.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about, just real quick...
So why do you keep mentioning CM Punk? Are you trying to upset me?
Calm down. Just breathe.
Sorry, go back. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'd like to talk, real briefly about a few other promotions that have Cruiserweight style divisions within them.
Well, I know CZW has one.
CZW, they have a World Junior Heavyweight division.
Ooh.
Japan All Pro Wrestling has a Light Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
And AAA has a World Cruiserweight division.
Well, I hope they would, considering they're out of Mexico.
They are.
I
They have
mean-
a lot of luchadors, and a lot of the
But wait.
ECW luchadors that came into WCW
Not
also
trying to be
worked
racist, but if
in
Mexican
AAA.
wrestling is in Cruiserweight area like that, do they really need a Cruiserweight title, or wouldn't their title just be the title?
I'm sure they have bigger guys, too.
Fair enough. Now we would like to bring up a topic that I think is a necessity in today's discussion. What about a relaunch of an X-style Cruiserweight division-ish type deal in the WWE today? I mean, you've got plenty of guys who could help push this, and you've got a lot of talent in the WWE who is either X Division or Cruiserweight style. I think it's needed to be mentioned.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you have a small list of names. I'm going to work with you on this because I kind of like a couple of these names on the list.
All right.
One of them being Dolph Ziggler. The man can work.
He
Let's
definitely can.
give him a shot.
I feel like he would be one of those guys who would be willing, even if he doesn't do, like a moonsault, he'd be willing to do it anyways. I feel like he'd be able to and willing, just for a chance.
I was once told by a 350-pound guy that just because he can do a moonsault doesn't mean he's going to do a moonsault.
Exactly.
So it's probably there.
Oh yeah. And you have people like Kofi Kingston.
Evan Bourne.
Definite high flyer. Yeah, Evan Bourne, his former tag team partner in Air Boom. And once this kid gets healed back up from his foot injury, I think he'll be a force to reckon with.
Agreed.
And then you have, obviously, Rey Mysterio, like we just talked about, and his tag team partner, Sin Cara.
Well, it's really funny because Sin Cara is actually doing a lot better in the WWE since they tag teamed on with Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is helping him to learn some English, helping him get some better understanding of the American wrestling over Mexican wrestling. I didn't really know there was a difference until recently. I do apologize. I try to be on my facts as much as I can.
And then we have people like NXT superstar Trent Beretta. Now, a lot of people may not know a lot about Trent Beretta. I don't necessarily know a lot about Trent Beretta, but I've seen some of his footage, and I'll be honest with you, this kid looks like the next Jeff Hardy. At least style-wise, I should say. You know, he does moves like the whisper in the wind. You know, he does all kinds of flying moves. I think he would be a great addition to a Cruiserweight / X Division type of thing in the WWE.
Somebody I think would be a great person to help kick off a relaunch, Tyson Kidd.
Absolutely.
He's got a lot of promise. You got to see a lot of great work from him that you hadn't really seen yet in Money in the Bank 2012. It was phenomenal. The kid can really work, and WWE doesn't really have a division for him to showcase that in. They keep putting him up against people like Tensai or... who is he currently? Well, he was part of the tag team thing until they started doing whatever they're doing with the tag team thing.
Speaking of which, his tag team partner, Justin Gabriel. Another great addition. Does a beautiful 450 splash.
Agreed. And another tag team that you could split up for a little bit, even though I don't want to see it split up, Primo and Epico. Both guys who would fit perfectly into that category. They can move. They can fly. I mean, WWE, if you're not going to utilize your tag teams, at least utilize the weight class. I mean, come on.
And you even have somebody like Funaki, who you rarely see, but he can move fast around that ring.
He still has a job?
He still has a job.
What?
You can see him occasionally on Superstars.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Now, you know, there's definitely somebody else who I think would be great for this relaunch.
Alberto Del Rio. I agree.
Alberto Del Rio?
Yeah.
No.
Who?
The one, the only, best in the world, CM Punk.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? CM Punk is nothing more than a crybaby bitch. How many times do I have to tell you this? He would not fit in with that category. Mr. Best in the World can't even put himself over.
Dude, you know, you've been offending people with this whole CM Punk's a crybaby bitch.
I'm sorry. Yes, apparently we have had a complaint that I offended somebody by calling CM Punk a crybaby bitch. Well, I'm not sorry. You know why? Because CM Punk is nothing more than a bitch-faced bitch. Hashtag, I'm right. Hashtag, you suck.
All right.
But it's really funny that you bring up CM Punk, because I'd like to mention what happened recently at Hell in a Cell 2012 when Ryback got screwed. Well, I get you don't want to give Ryback the win over CM Punk, but why do you gotta have the referee blow him in the nuts?
That was good, though.
Enjoy that one, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't get many of those from me.
But yeah, I mean, Brad Maddox, the referee who screwed over CM Punk in his match with Cena when CM Punk had his foot on the ropes, now all of a sudden is a Paul Heyman guy and is working with them? What's this about?
Maybe it's his way of trying to get back in the good graces of CM Punk.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he goes, you know, Ryback about to give the shell shock to CM Punk. Brad Maddox gets down, just
boom,
uppercut right into the testicles. You know, just takes him down, and then he assists CM Punk on the pin.
CM Punk,
a quick pin at
I will tell you this, CM Punk, you are not the best in the world. I will go as far to say that you're not even close to being the best in the world. You want to shock me? You want to do something that's going to impress me? You want my respect? Well, then get on your knees, hand the title over, vacate it, and then win some kind of battle royal to put yourself back at the top, and stop crying about respect when you can't give it.
Exactly.
Do something good with your gimmick, dude. You're straight edge. I'll give you that. You were legitimately one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. So go back to being the CM Punk you were like 4 years ago, and then you've got my respect. Because when you were in Nexus, I kind of liked you. But now...
Heck, even when he was straight edge society, I kind of liked him.
You know what, though? Now that all you want to do is cry, and whine, and complain, you're nothing more than Vince McMahon.
Ouch.
Sorry.
Now, I'd like to quickly go over some of the other results from Hell in a Cell. You know,
Spoiler alert!
That's something.
Spoiler alert!
This is something that we will occasionally do on the show. Let's talk about the recent pay-per-views.
You know what I want to talk about? Let's talk about the Divas match really
The
quickly.
Divas match. Eve versus Layla versus Caitlyn for the Divas Championship.
That match lasted 7 minutes.
Not even. 6 minutes, 28 seconds.
That is a triple threat Divas match. How are you going to have that last that long? It should have been a little bit longer, guys. At least give them 10 minutes. That's the popcorn match, for heaven's sakes.
Absolutely.
Come on!
7 minutes is not enough time for me to go out and get popcorn and get back to my seat. Have you ever been to a show? Those lines are long, especially at a pay-per-view.
That's very
I'm just
true.
saying.
Now, wasn't there another match that went about that length?
Yes, the United States Championship match. Antonio Cesaro versus Justin Gabriel. Went 7 minutes, 21 seconds. It was a decent match. It had some good spots in it, but
The ending
it
was
could
a
have
little
been
confusing.
better. Could have been better.
Well, a couple good matches that I really liked. I have to refresh my mind on the match card. I'm sorry, people.
Orton and Del Rio, in my opinion, put on a great match.
Oh, I agree. That match was phenomenal.
I mean,
Orton picking up the win off Del Rio, I did not see that coming. Del Rio botched a couple spots.
Yeah.
Interesting there.
but Del Rio going up top, off the rope for his kick, and Orton just out of nowhere hitting that RKO. Boom. Sold it for me. I loved it. It was good stuff.
I really thought the Kofi Miz match was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to see a lot of high flying from Kofi. The Miz tearing off the boot for an exposed knee. That was an interesting twist.
Absolutely.
Kofi retaining his title. Congratulations, Kofi. I'm glad that they're actually using you.
Another title that was retained at this pay-per-view was the Tag Team Championships. Team Hell No, Kane, Daniel Bryan, retained their titles. However, they did not win this match.
What?
That is right. Rhodes Scholars won the match via disqualification
Oh, yeah.
because of Kane getting so enraged that he just continued to beat on Cody Rhodes, and the ref could not get him off, and the ref decided, you know what, since he wasn't listening, he's going to call the match.
You said the ref couldn't get Kane, huh?
Oh,
Well, let's talk
damn.
about the Reigns and Cara.
Man, all these
Primetime-
refs, what's up with that? Maybe they should be like the NFL and get some replacement refs.
Hey, Vince. Time to put a call back into the XFL guys? How about the Reigns and Cara match versus Primetime Players? Great match. I expected Primetime Players to actually pick up the win on that match. I did not see Reigns and Cara getting a win.
I have to say, the way Primetime Players is going, they were really coming to a rise. I really thought it was going to be them. They were going to be the guys for the title, for the
Yeah.
tag team title. I don't know who they pissed off, but they really, if you guys are watching, which you probably aren't, but if you are, shape up, man. Come on, guys. Just shape up.
It's true. I was very shocked, however, that the Big Show Sheamus match was not contested in Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. One Hell in a Cell match? What is that about?
WrestleMania only had one Hell in a Cell match. Does that mean WrestleMania was Hell in a Cell too?
Exactly.
I mean, it was a good match. Big Show, congratulations on a victory, and congratulations on holding a title for more than 48 seconds. I mean, I'm hoping that the rumors that I've been reading online aren't true, and that this is your last leg before you leave, because I know you've got a lot of talent left in you. I get why you're doing the gimmick you're doing right now, but dude, respect. I totally love you, Paul. Sheamus, hit a tanning booth, dude. Really?
I think he burned, man.
Probably. He's pretty fair skinned.
He is, totally is.
And-
I mean, did you see his chest at the end of that match? It was lit up from the Big Show.
Well, that ends up discussing Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. But you know, overall, I'd probably give it a C plus.
I was gonna say
B
I'd probably
minus
give that
maybe.
a. I'd probably say a B minus. The
B minus,
pay per view
yeah.
wasn't horrible. It kept me entertained the whole time. I was well.
The one thing that I was disappointed in was, first off, the fact that he didn't have a match. Second off, the fact that he didn't cash in, and that's Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah,
No match on the card,
especially with the build up with John Cena on Raw. What's that about?
and even during the pay-per-view, they showed him watching the Big Show Sheamus match. They make comments
Yeah.
that he claimed he was going to cash in that night. Nothing happened. What's going on, Ziggler? Who put the brakes on?
Right?
And if they
You
put-
tell us who did it,
You tell
and
us.
we'll hurt them. Well, you'll hurt them.
You will get your title soon. We know. We believe in you.
Because as Zack Ryder would say, woo woo woo. We know it.
We do.
Dude,
Okay.
They don't get along, do they?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. All right, as promised, today we would like to start the new segment. Today, on the shelf.
On the shelf.
I
Was
just
that
said
too much?
I just said that.
What, was that too much?
I can show you up. Ready? On the shelf.
Okay, wait. On the shelf!
On the shelf, on the shelf, on the shelf, on the shelf, on the shelf. Ah, on the shelf, on the shelf, on the shelf, on the shelf.
I give up.
Okay,
I
win. You heard it? I win. Okay, so we figured that since we were talking about the Cruiserweights and X Division style, today we have the Best of the X Division, Volume 1 and 2. Right, available on TNAShopWrestling.com.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You can go to the TNA website and go to the link that they have for you. I'm just trying to help!
You probably go to eBay and get it for like 3 cents.
Ouch.
Yeah. Now, TNA puts on some pretty decent matches, I think. You know, especially with their X Division.
I agree.
You know, they have something that WWE lacks, and
No, because TNA right now has better writing skills. At least TNA's storylines make sense.
That's true. That's what I said. They have something that WWE lacks.
Oh yeah, talent.
An X Division.
Big names.
An X Division.
X Division!
Now, on these, you have matches such as, let's see, for instance, a three-way match between Chris Sabin, Petey Williams, Alex Shelley. The two members of the Motor City Machine Guns, and Petey Williams. Big Petey Pump. Or Little Petey Pump.
Little Petey Pump.
Little Petey Pump.
The Canadian muscle leaf. Maple.
Canadian...
I give up!
The Maple Leaf Muscle.
There you go.
There
On this one here, we have an Ultimate X match starring Petey Williams, AJ Styles, Chris Sabin.
Now, we also have things like World X Cup, which was a big thing for the X Division, where they brought in foreign talent to, try and, get a bigger name out there and things like that. You have the Escape match, which we talked about before, which is only at Lockdown.
I would not have thought he was an X Division star.
Interesting. Ultimate X.
Apparently.
Talk about this one.
Apparently, Ultimate X match. AJ Styles versus Prime Time, Elix Skipper versus Christopher Daniels versus none other than Ron the Truth Killings, the TNA version of R-Truth.
Yes.
I would not have thought that.
I would not have thought that either. But you know what? I wouldn't have thought Abyss to be in the X Division at all either.
A guy looking that scary, I'm not going to tell him no. He tells me he wants something, you go get it yourself, dude, because I ain't standing in your way.
Now here's my question to you. Who is your favorite X Division, not just champion, but person?
Of the X Division in itself?
Yes, of TNA's X Division. Who's your favorite?
Currently, I'd probably have to say Christopher Daniels.
Yeah?
Man's got an awesome persona. I love the attitude. And I'm not talking current Christopher Daniels. I love face Christopher Daniels. He's got amazing mic skills. He's got great wrestling talent. He's got the BME, which, if you don't know what the BME is, best moonsault ever.
Love Christopher Daniels. Definitely my favorite. And I loved when he came into TNA as Curry Man.
Yes,
great.
Which is his Japanese gimmick.
Yes. It was a great way to keep him in the company and keep different storylines.
How
fresh.
funny is it, though, that out of the Feast or Fired storyline, he's the only person 2 times back-to-back to get the pink slip.
Well, I mean, they had to find a way to do something different with him both times.
Agreed.
So.
Well, that about wraps up another episode of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure to tune in next time when we have an interview with none other than former Cruiserweight champion himself, Matt Hardy. That was an awesome interview.
It was. I mean, you did a great job, and I think, I hope we can get more like that.
I'm hoping.
Really do.
This Saturday we're having a chance to meet Eugene, so we're going to hope to get a 3-question interview with Eugene, which will be on a future episode, obviously.
And we'll have an interview with Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming up sometime soon.
Very true. We're going to get an interview, apparently via text message. We got Bill Collier.
Ooh, Bill Kyler, finally.
Finally.
We're trying to get him for the
He
last
told me that as
4
long as I can
episodes.
show up, I got it.
Excellent. And we'll do more with On the Shelf. We'll bring in different, DVDs, books, things like that.
I promised to shout out really quick.
Okay.
Hey, Gabe, you're my man. Gabe Soul, everybody, check him out. You can find him under The Ish Jones on Facebook.
Absolutely. Now, I think that about wraps up. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we send off?
No, I think I'm pretty much good.
All right.
You got anything you'd like to add?
Just check us out and like us on Facebook.
We have a Facebook account still?
Please follow us on Twitter.
Still haven't figured it out.
And if you wouldn't mind, go check out our previous episodes and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have you still not gone on YouTube?
I keep getting distracted by that other U site. You know, the U something site. I can't reference it.
This has been Off the Ropes with John and Josh.
I'm John.
And I am Josh. And we are down for the count.